I would say you follow your dreams. And there's nothing that will take you through everything like having that dream, be it in anything. Now, to follow music, yes, music, it's magic. You feel bad, you hear a song, it makes you feel better. Follow your heart. You'll know what you should be doing, just like right and wrong.
Gregg, it's great to have you here with these session series that we're doing with the artists. These audiences are able to step into the world and the life of each individual musician. And what you are doing and what you have done is really an interesting story, because now that you're pushing the Buddy Rich Big Band in a seat that is so intense and you handle it so well, you are displaying this music around the world, it's exciting to hear. You're making it happen, and you've had so much before in your life that you're doing. So I want to try and capture all of this here in our process of this interview. So thank you so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be here.
What are you up to now? What are you doing now with the band?
Luckily, we're within walking distance of Disneyland because it's a fantasy life. I mean, drumming-wise.
Yeah.
I've been playing drums with the Buddy Rich Band for 8 years now. It's just amazing. From a drumming standpoint, you think about, say, like a life like Kathy's, where you're kind of born into, you're born rich.
Yeah.
Would make a nice license plate, maybe. You know, you're born into this, and then you do with it, you know. Okay, me, I was born, okay. I was born Potter. Yeah, you know, so I mean, I'm saying, and I'm not saying it's any better, any worse, I'm just saying two different roads, and I'm saying what I'm doing now, having the honor, because prior to this, yes, people can, like you were saying, do your homework, go back, look at it. Unfortunately, you can do a Google search on Gregg Potter and find out that I'm really not 29 years old, which I've told people. Some of the European music magazines might think of Mr. Potter, you know, God, for 28, looks a little old for that, but you know what I mean. You don't really get to shore it up, but unfortunately, the internet,
yeah.
You might even find, you know, what I had for breakfast. But getting to what I'm doing here, I was a Buddy fan growing up.
Yeah.
I played all different styles, but yes, it's true. I could say it to sessions. I could say, yes, I played in many rock groups.
Yeah, yeah.
So my background was oriented toward that, as opposed to saying just only playing jazz or big band. But no, I studied throughout I played through all the school band programs. So like taking drum lessons, formal drum lessons in grade school, into the high school, and then into college. So I mean, there is more to it than just.
But what you've done is you have completely driven this band, and you're keeping this music alive, which is fantastic.
What I'm doing right now, yes, I get to sit in the seat with a Buddy Rich alumni band. Alumni band means I've got Bob Bowlby right on my left, who played, you know, sax, and I have Alan Kaplan. I have like the men that really played with Buddy throughout.
Let's go back now before. What got you involved with drumming at a young age?
I had an uncle and a cousin. Two uncles and a cousin, so family members that were drummers. Mm-hmm. I'm like a family guy, so they take you, and then there's a drum set somewhere. You know, at some point, everyone puts the little kid behind a drum set.
Absolutely.
It happened anywhere. I mean, now it's called YouTube, and you go watch, my God, there's a 3-year-old Indonesian child that not only plays drums like Billy Cobham, but now make you a souffle or something. I mean, so I know kids are amazing, but I was like one of those little kids that they threw on, no one filmed it though, but they put you on the drum throne, and I took to it. I mean, I just really dug drumming. And I had, you know, like the uncles and the cousins, so you have like people in the family that are encouraging you.
Did you start listening to different drummers?
That young, I don't know what I was listening to at that point.
Right.
But I had the Buddy stories just as what I have run into, or what Kathy and I, just spending time at the NAMM show. It seems that Johnny Carson show and Buddy's presence on television really formed, you know, because even like back in the day, like 60s, 70s, you maybe got a record album or something, and all you saw a picture of a man. Nowadays, if you want to see somebody, you go on your phone, and you can actually pick up a video and say, wow, that's what the drummer from Iron Butterfly looked like. You know what I mean? It's like, back then, you had an album, looks like he's got 2 bass drums, so there must be double. Okay, so you saw Buddy. He was like the only real amazing drummer you saw. Maybe you would see a Beatles movie, maybe Hard Day's Night or Help or something like that. I'm thinking, you know, you would have seen that on television at some point. But I was one of those guys that the mom or dad wake me up and Buddy's going to be on tonight, So that, but he wasn't my only influence. I would say throughout those young, formative years, I didn't really have a groupie mom, but I had a mom that was interested in rock music.
Yeah.
I remember it was through my mom and my dad. I had wonderful, this is another thing I have to thank my parents, not only the uncles and cousins, but I had parents that were very supportive of my interest in music. My dad was in the car business, so somehow through the car business, someone was affiliated with the Erie Crown Theater in Chicago, which would be a venue that you would see rock groups or music. I mean, Buddy Rich, he actually played there with Frank Sinatra, but Erie Crown Theater, I'm 5, 6 years old, those formative years, And my parents took me to see Rare Earth. Now, if you remember, that was a drummer, Peter Rivera, who played double bass and sang. Basically, he's the front of the group. Yeah. So now if you got this young kid in his little matching denim suit with my brother, it would have been in the 70s, So we got these matching denim suits, and we're hanging out on the side of the stage with Rare Earth playing. And then I got the, where they let me go on the stage, not before the show, but after. And I'm saying, you don't realize what an impression it leaves on you.
Sure.
You walked in, getting to the stage, and you walk through the backstage area, and you just see these bands, and you see these people, and it either bites you, where you get bit by that bug, and I'm saying, I did. And the drummer let me walk out by his drums, and it was a Marine Pearl Slingerland kit. Who would have thunk it? A little foreshadowing. He must have been a Buddy fan himself.
Absolutely.
But he had Slingerland, Marine Pearl drums, and I remember he was walking around the cymbals and bending them. And I'm why are you doing that? He said, I'm looking for cracks. Things to me that it just...
That you remember that at that age.
But I'm saying that's the kind of impression it left on me. Yeah. And I'm saying all it did, catalyst for it just never went away. So if you say, what am I doing today? I'm that same 6-year-old kid. And I thank Kathy every day. I'm that same little kid that stood on that stage. Now I'm a big kid. I'm only, how old did I tell him I was? I'm still that guy with that enthusiasm. Yeah.
So what happened with lessons? Did you get involved with lessons at all at that time?
Yes.
Did you start to formalize your learning?
Well, right. So basically you've got this kid sitting, playing the cousin's drums. All of a sudden we see, Gregg has a little bit, I had more drive than my cousins and uncles. You know what I mean? Gregg plays a little better than we do. So I grew up in the city of Chicago, and the Chicago school systems didn't really have a music program formal. We moved to the suburbs, and the suburban school music programs were, I couldn't believe it. Minimal formal training, say, kindergarten through 5th or 6th grade, but then once I got to junior high, I was able to get into an actual school band program, and that's when you do start taking private lessons. Right. And again, my interest in, even if it was, geared toward rock groups and, think about that time, the late 70s.
So at this point, you're hearing these bands, you're playing.
Yes, and I'm playing, and you're taking it more seriously. Right. When you do start studying, because yes, many people sit behind a set of drums, and I'm a drummer too. But it starts getting weaned out when I see you're studying all 26 rudiments, or are you holding traditional grip and it's all match grip, or all that. I started that, throughout.
So you're stepping into the world of drumming, the
world of the drumming,
and
exactly.
Feel for it.
Yeah, there are things called a drum clinic. I believe Billy Cobham and Tama were, Roy Burns with Rogers drums. Because I lived also, being from Chicago, you had Frank's Drum Shop. Frank's Drum Shop.
Huge reputation in the drumming industry.
Frank's Drum Shop, and then you had drums, Bill Crowden's Drums Limited.
Absolutely, yeah.
I know Hollywood here has the Pro Drum Shop, but being a Chicago guy, you had two of the most iconic Frank's Drum Shop, the most iconic.
Absolutely. And they put on several different artists that would come into town that we call clinics, and by having those clinics, you would hear these artists perform. You'd be influenced by them, you would learn from them, and that would inspire you to go on and continue.
Now that was another scam perpetrated by the Frank's Drum Shop. I can tell this story because I don't know that anyone is still around. Is Marty LaShawn still around? Okay, so it was Maury LaShawn, Marty, his son Marty, always nice to me. But what they would do, I was a young drummer, like I said, with this enthusiasm that preceded probably, well, not my dad's wallet, because he would take me there every Saturday. Because every Saturday, I was a Buddy Rich fan, and like you were saying, Buddy would go to Frank's Drum Shop. He was even Kathy could tell you stories of Marty LaShawn.
Yeah,
I'm just saying it was known that Buddy
But it was
would
always
stop in
there.
the shop.
Sure.
Well,
that's also a lot of the manufacturing was happening in Chicago of drums, and Buddy would go there.
being the Buddy Rich fan that I was, even as a youngster, I would walk in with my dad, and we had seen that like Buddy had been there. So they're like, come back next Saturday. Buddy is playing at wherever. He'll probably be here. So just keep coming back.
Yeah.
So my dad would take me every Saturday, maybe every second Saturday, buy me a pair of sticks, just to go in this drum shop, and they would tell us every week, you just missed him. He was just, was Buddy here? Yeah, he was here. Now my dad must have been old enough to know, I think I'm getting taken here, but you've got like a 9-year-old kid, near tears, I just missed the Buddy Rich. Oh, you didn't see him on the elevator? No. Because they had the elevator with the man that worked it.
Absolutely.
That's how old this is. But I'm saying all this, though, again, for the young forming head full of mush here, I'm being groomed with the dad that kept taking me down there and perpetrating the hoax. You'll meet Buddy eventually. You'll meet Buddy. You're going to meet Kathy. That's going to be a whole nother story. That's sessions 2. We'll do that in sessions 2.
So what happened when you started playing with bands? Now you're getting older. You're starting to play with different bands. You're playing some rock bands. What happened at that point?
Well, yeah. So the formal school with the music programs that I did in school, I was able to play with, of course, the marching band, the concert band, the stage band, the jazz band.
Great.
I played. That's where I first started. And that's where you start getting your young grasp of reading music. I mean, I remember I played in the pit band for the drama club or whatever they had. Back then, it wasn't a class. Now they have whole colleges and a whole college based on an art school. But back then, it was the drama club was after school. But I mean, I was able to play in the pit band and read charts and again getting a much fuller background. Because then when I did play with these rock groups, and yes, because I was still attracted to the playing in rock bands. That older brother that had a band, but my playing was on a different level than say what other kids in the neighborhood that, we got the new Deep Purple Machine Head album. I play it just like this. And then, now that Ian Pace and I are like that, you find out he too was much more influenced by Buddy and Gene and, these guys that were rudimentally perfect, or, as opposed to just, Bill Ward from Black Sabbath, who was just a real solid, but a little wilder. I mean, Ian is or Bonham. These guys are more refined than. So it's just that's the path I followed. And then actually, right out of high school, I was in the Slingerland Louis Bellson National Drum Contest.
Absolutely.
At Frank's Drum Shop.
At Frank's Drum Shop.
So that's another interesting story. Do I have time?
Quickly tell me what that was like, because that was in those days they put on these little different drum contests. And you went to compete.
Right. They had they had the locals.
Yeah.
I believe I went on. It's from 9 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon. Now this is at Frank's Drum Shop. But now I had been going to Frank's Drum Shop for years. I was there when I'm 9 or 10, and now the contest I'm 15. So I've been going there for a while, so I know everybody, or whatever. So I walk in. I'm going to play. My time is like 9:15. I'm like the second guy to go, maybe even I think the second guy to go. So when my father and I walk in, and there is this, as I'm told, I didn't know who the guy was. There was a man standing there with a little kid. This little kid's already playing on the drum set, and he's not too bad. And I walk in, and I know one of the guys from Frank's. He goes, "You know who that is over there? That's Larry Novak. He plays piano with Louis Bellson." That little guy there, that's Gary Novak. I figure this contest is pretty much over. If I got and my father being a car salesman from Chicago, he's like, "You might be learning a lesson here today, my son. If the keyboard player from Belson's band's here with his kid banging on the drums, we might get a better deal on a new Corvette, but they might be taking this contest. So get up there and do your thing." And I believe I'm a little older than Gary, so he was like a little guy, but sitting there. I remember he was.
Fantastic player.
And yes, he was wonderful then. He's wonderful now. I'm just saying. But so we're there. So I play at 9:15 in the morning, do my thing. It was the contest, went through all the stuff. I go home thinking, you know, because basically you do your thing. It's 9, the thing's going on till 3. I sit around, watch a couple of guys, and then my dad's like, "Oh,
We're out of here.
let's just go." And not that it's over, but what are you gonna do? You're gonna sit and watch more guys? You did your thing, and so we just go home. Sitting watching television, phone rings. They go, "Hey, you know, Gregg? Yeah. Louie's here. He wants to give you you won, man. Are you, you know, can you get back down to the city?" And I lived out in the suburbs at that point. I said to the guy on the phone, I said, "Is Buddy Rich there?" And they said, "No, he's not." I said, "Well, then you could just mail me that thing." Could you believe I was a bigger jerk then than I am now? So,
the saint of Louis Belson, too, of all
God,
things.
exactly.
Yes.
And God bless it. But it came out rougher than it was. But I just meant, I really thought, like, well, then all the famous drummers must come to this contest. I thought, like, if Louis Belson's there, then Buddy Rich would be there. You know what I mean? But that same enthusiasm that I had, it never went away. And they did actually mail me they mailed me the thing.
Do you still have it?
I have everything. Just ask Kathy. It's in a storage. It's in a warehouse that I think we pay more for our warehousing than we do for the home we live in.
You might have to unopen the briefcase too, so it's probably in there.
I showed her the award because if you look at the Slingerland book, it's in there that I won that thing. So when I win this contest, that was just the locals. I didn't realize you had to go on to like because I eventually got it handed to me by some kid from Arlington Heights, Illinois, like some neighborhood kid that ended up beating me. So he went on to be like on the Carson show, because that was the end of that Louis Belson contest was you were going to be on the Carson show and play with Louis.
Yeah.
I said, just give me a couple of years. I'll take this Buddy Rich band to the London Palladium, and I'll make you all pay. And I didn't, and I didn't say that because I just said, Frank's drum shop, you're not even on the guest list. And I told Kathy, don't let anyone from the drum shop. I'm kidding.
I know you are. So tell me about now. At this point here, you go in there. You're playing. Tell me about the band Teenage Radiation.
Right. I graduate high school, still a teenager. Lost the Louis Belson drum contest finals. I didn't get to. But that's an interesting story, too. Sam Giotti, who was like the man who put that contest together, whatever, he goes, I've got something. Don't, you know. Sam set me up. Do you remember that Slingerland Delivers Percussion ad campaign?
Sure.
Where there's a guy playing the drums, or a drum set, that was me. Then it was Sam Giotti's daughter playing some marching percussion, and then a friend of mine who also worked at Slingerland, Gene Garrett, he was playing the snare drum. But it was like a famous... It turned out to be like the NAMM show in '82 or whatever. They had like shopping bags with me on them and everything. But Sam, he's like, you didn't win the contest, but I'm going to take care of you, kid. And he also said, whatever, I know good things are going to happen. Just stick with it. Stick with it. 4 months later, there's a disc jockey in Chicago by the name of Steve Dahl. He was famous for blowing up all the disco records at Comiskey Park. Name of his band was Teenage Radiation. Yeah. What he did were the parody songs. The hit songs we had were Do You Think I'm Disco? It sounded like Rod Stewart's Do You Think I'm Sexy?
Right.
But he had his funny words about disco in there. And then one called Ayatollah sounded like My Sharona. So that's what I did. I was 16 right out of high school. I had just lost the drum contest, but Slingerland was still like right there. The people at Slingerland heard me on the radio, said, Potter, get over here. Went up to Niles. They took care of me like I was Buddy Rich's nephew. They made me like the Teenage Radiation. Rick Piccolo, God rest his soul, wherever he's at. He put together. I don't know if you've ever seen on the collector sites like that, black and yellow Teenage Radiation double bass drum set. And then one of a kind, because the Steve Dahl fellow, he wore Hawaiian shirts like back before Hawaiian shirts were cool. This was early Weird Al Yankovic days. I don't even know. Weird Al was probably on Dr. Demento, but Steve Dahl was already, you know.
Yeah, he was doing
it was that same kind of thing, but so Dahl wore these Hawaiian shirts. This Teenage Radiation thing, I was on the radio every day. We did movie soundtracks. Steve Dahl was again, pre-internet. It was a thing called radio. You'd have to explain it.
Promoter, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, Steve Dahl we had these hit songs, 45s. But I mean, for 6 years then, I was on the radio and and we did shows like we played everything from stadiums to because of the radio affiliation. And, so, I mean, it took my drumming and my presence in the music business basically from a high school, being in a high school.
To a whole other level.
Yeah, I was with,
sure.
I played with Joe Walsh. So my career really, I would say, started, as a teenager. Name of the band, Teenage Radiation.
Fantastic.
And, all of us were kids.
And what happened with the Emmy Award-winning television? How did the Emmy come in?
Well, this was actually, I won that in 2009. But that was, I'm saying my career, I mean, after Teenage Radiation, and then I was in a group called Siren on Mercury Polygram Records and did MTV. And I mean, this was back when all this stuff was relevant.
Yeah,
MTV actually showed music. It was called music television before it was about, now I believe it's all shows with like 16-year-olds with babies.
Yeah.
But this was back like when Motley Crue was the biggest baby on the show.
Yeah.
So I mean, I did all that, and then throughout the '90s, so you lived through the '80s, and like I said, had an album on the charts, but didn't reach Van Halen status. But I mean, I was in the business, playing. Then came the '90s. You lived through that. That was the grunge era, so you didn't really have to. Technically, I stayed in tune with it, but I'm just saying music became every man's music. I mean, you didn't necessarily have to play like Vinny to be in a group. I'm not knocking it. Dave Grohl is great, believe me.
Absolutely.
As he buys another island somewhere. I mean, I'm not saying, but I'm saying realistically, even if you spoke to Dave Grohl, he wouldn't tell you, well, yes, I'm doing Swiss triplets right through the 11/8 break. I'm doing it. No, he's not going to talk to you like that.
It's funny when you just drop the name Vinny, everyone knows it's Vinny Colaiuta.
Oh gosh,
you can just say the name Vinny.
Yeah, I could have said Gad.
But I mean, it's that how you say certain names that have come up that have been so bad. When you say Buddy, there's just a certain It just comes up. It's like.
And I'm not saying that drummers in the '90s didn't know who. I'm just saying that wasn't the folk. You weren't gearing toward that like. For my career, going through the '90s, it was a different time. I mean, I was playing in alternative groups and stuff. That again, you're making records, you're making discs, you're going out on the road in a van. But if you're not in one of the big bands, people are like, I never heard of you. I've been playing for. You see me at the Louis Belson Drum Contest.
Absolutely, but so here now you hook up with Kathy and you get involved with the band.
Yes.
So now you're in this point where it's a whole different level of what's happening.
You missed when I won the Emmy. I won it before I met the beautiful.
Oh, right.
Kathy. I mean, no, the Emmy came before that. But this is how I actually got her. When I won the Emmy the first time, we were already friends and on the phone.
Yeah.
So when I won it the first time, I actually had to leave the Emmy where they're handing it to you to go play a gig and then come back and get the trophy. And I'm on the phone with her and she goes, if you get nominated again, I'm coming. Which would have been the next year, because I won in 2009, and that was I was playing in a group that it was me, a guitar player, and Rick Nielsen from Cheap Trick, the guitar player. We were playing for the Grammy Foundation in Chicago. And CBS News did a news segment on it. And as you see here, you film a lot, but what they show on the news is 30 seconds. Well, a creative editor at CBS edited our music portion of us playing. Beautiful. So I mean, I did actually win like an Emmy for playing the drums and music oriented rather than I won an Emmy. I was doing Shakespeare in the Park and they caught me, holding the little skull up and talking. I mean, I was really playing the drums. But so I did that in 2009 on the phone with her. She goes, if you go, I want to go to the Emmys with you, and I did, and she came and she never left. She stayed. So that would have been 2010 though. So. Now you say, how did I segue into what we're doing with the Buddy Rich Band? I'm still playing, and my vision was always, I wanted to be on a higher level. Not only successful, because you also know in the business, if you're getting paid, you're on a good level.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Even if you're playing weddings and, if you're working and being paid to play the drums, you're ahead of the game.
That's already success. Absolutely.
Right. So, and I always kept that in my heart. And even when I would talk to Kathy, because I've known her a long time. So we would talk, and I'd call her from gigs. I'd be playing, and she would tell me stories about Buddy. Play a command performance for the Queen in England, get on a plane, get back to New York, get in the bus, and drive like to Nebraska and play a high school and get snowed in. You know what I mean? But to Buddy, it was work. He gave you the same that he did in London in front of the Queen, and that
Absolutely.
he did the same thing for those kids in
Absolutely.
Nebraska, Iowa, or whatever, or a nightclub in Chicago. I mean, so to me, working is working. But I'm saying my vision or what I wanted to do was always something more. I guess maybe if Emerson, Lake, and Palmer were still together, and it could have been Emerson, Lake, and Potter, I would have dug that or something. But it wasn't. Although we almost got close. Tell me, Kathy.
Well, tell me about what you're wearing on your shirt here.
Part of doing this thing, the Buddy Rich Band, being the dream that it is. Like I said, I don't want it to sound like a Hallmark, although we could sell this to Lifetime or something, 'cause it's like a Lifetime movie. But it really is, for a guy like me that you could see with this enthusiasm for what it is I do, and with my playing. So what I'm wearing here, as a youngster, like, do you remember, like I was saying, you had a magazine ad, a picture. If it was Buddy Rich in a picture, I believe it's a Zildjian ad, or he's sitting at the Zildjian factory, all those symbols are behind him. What this is here, they made these for Buddy and his band. Zildjian made them.
Back in
I
the
happen to be a
70s.
Sabian, yes, I happen to be a Sabian artist, and Sabian has been with me my whole career, but this Zildjian made these for Buddy and his band back in '72, I believe. I'm sure there are people out there, which I'll drop their names in a minute, but that's what this is. But it's how I got it that makes this story and makes this dream. So Kathy and I, a year ago, we were in New York, and there was a music, no, it wasn't necessary, it wasn't a music school, it was a school that was dedicating their music room to Buddy in Brooklyn, because Buddy is from Brooklyn. It wasn't the school that Buddy went to, but it was a school in Brooklyn. It was through, I believe, NARD, National Association of Rudimental Drummers, Mark Beecher, their organization, along with Charlie Braun, who was the president of the Buddy Rich fan club from 1966 till Buddy passed.
Yeah.
This man was Buddy's.
I knew Charlie, absolutely.
Okay, then you know, as I drop the names, you can say
Absolutely.
that's the guy.
Got
But
it.
whatever. We go to this event where they were going to have, of course, Kathy is the main link to it, but I went and I played. We have the Hal Leonard Buddy Rich play along, so basically you could have Buddy anywhere, and you set up a drum set, and you are playing with the band. Whatever. I played for the kids, and basically not a clinic, but I was at the event, and I got to play. Charlie Braun was wearing this, and now he got it from Buddy, and he's wearing it. So all throughout the day, as I'm playing, I wonder if I get a look at that thing. Maybe they'll let me try it on. Whatever. End of the day comes, I say, hey, all day, I know you think I'm looking at you because I'm looking at you all the time, but could I see that thing? Because this, to me, Buddy's wearing that thing, drinking that soda, sitting on the bench, Armand, all the Zildjian, with Armand sitting in there. They only made a handful of these things. He takes it off and puts it on me. I said, well, can I take a picture with it? So he takes it off, puts it. Me, him, Kathy, we take pictures. But this is the president of the Buddy Rich fan club, which I'm sure
years,
at some point in my career, I've written a letter to the guy, and he probably wrote me, sent me back then, it would be like a Xerox letter back, thank you for your interest in the Buddy Rich fan club. Give me $3 and I'll. So just having that kind of enthusiasm, that's another thing we could talk about, like the magic of this, that you get to be around these people that are meant throughout my career or just throughout growing up. So we take the picture, I got this necklace on, I go to take it off to give it back to him, and he goes, you keep it.
Nice.
What you're doing, yeah, I mean, it almost sounds like, but he goes, you keep it, man, what you're doing, Buddy would rather have you, not I mean, rather have, but he's like, I had it since Buddy gave it to me, you wear it, man.
Beautiful.
Exactly. Beautiful. So, but yeah, so I wanted to wear it here today because when you ask things like this to me, if it ends tomorrow, which after Weckl plays with us on Tuesday, who knows? Although Kathy still likes me. But I'm saying this kind of magic.
Having Dave sitting with the band and going on and hearing him play, and of course you doing your thing, it's really about the music. It keeps the music alive, it keeps the image and the memories of Buddy forefront into our soul, because all the years of those people that went to hear this music, they really relate to it at such a high level. And so what you're doing is really, really great by even wearing this this
Am I the
medallion.
ambassador of drumming?
Well, this is
Can I just play myself one time? I'm kidding.
really what you're doing
No,
is fantastic.
and this is a dream job for a drummer. You're a drummer.
Absolutely.
Drummers watching the bottom line of this story, because we are so close to Disneyland, make a wish and follow your dreams. Because I'm telling you, you stick at it long enough, things happen, and things happen for you that you don't know that was coming.
And this brings us to a good point. In closing, what would you say to this next generation? These young kids that are listening to you, you talked about the Disneyland dream. You're doing it.
Yeah.
What would you say to that next generation as we close down to give them that hope and that inspiration to keep on playing music?
I would say you follow your dreams. And there's nothing that will take you through everything like having that dream, be it in anything. Now, to follow music, yes, music, it's magic. You feel bad, you hear a song, it makes you feel better. So I'm saying there's something about it that is not necessary. So I'm saying for young people, follow that you have that in your heart, that you want to get up, because it's kind of a blessing and a curse. You do really wake up and maybe that's all you think about. Because there may come a time after your 29th birthday and you really do have to move out because your parents really won't pay for your cell phone, and you realize that you have to, eventually you have to. So I'm saying you need to start making decisions. Because realistically, when you look at it too, you have to sacrifice things.
Absolutely.
But
Sure.
I'm saying if it's in your heart, follow your heart. You'll know what you should be doing, just like right and wrong. You really know if you're doing something wrong. I didn't get caught. You knew it was wrong. So I'm saying, follow your dreams. That's all I can say. I am living proof.
You for sure are a great example of that dream, because you're pushing the bear and you're making it happen. And you are rich as a blessing of being able to have this opportunity. Keep pushing this, keep the music alive, and keep the presence of Buddy so this young generation can hear the music and live in the incredible excitement that we lived in as we heard Buddy live. You are keeping the music alive,
Thank
and
you.
that is fantastic. Greg, on behalf of the sessions, we thank you so much. You've done great.
Thank you.